Okay. So tonight we are talking about the blood pressure triangle, but specifically we are going to be focusing on the blood sugar part of the triangle. Last week we talked about stress, and we talked about how to combat stress. This week we are going to be focusing on the blood sugar corner of the triangle. And it's something that can be surprising for a lot of people because they don't know the connection between insulin and high blood pressure. And so tonight, I really want to make that very clear to my coaching group. And so that if that is your piece, if blood sugar is the problem that you need to focus on, you're going to understand exactly why and how tonight. Okay. So, blood sugar. Now, I often tell people that blaming blood sugar for blaming sugar for your high blood sugar is like blaming firemen for a fire because they're always there. So your blood sugar is high, yes, but when you have diabetes, when you have prediabetes, sugar is not your problem. Sugar is not your problem, okay? Um, what is your problem, however, is the understanding that animal fat is your primary culprit. Okay. So when you're eating a donut and it's going to spike your blood sugar, yes, there's a lot of sugar in that donut and it will cause your numbers to go up. But what's really affecting you as a diabetic or as a pre-diabetic is the fat in the margarine or in the butter or the cream that's in that donut versus the actual sugar content, because that animal fat will clog up your insulin receptors. Let's say this is a receptor that's supposed to accept insulin, insulin only. Animal fat will sit in there and block that receptor from allowing insulin to come in and work on it. And so this needs to be a major focus for your diet. Okay. Not so much the sugar. Yes, the sugar is an issue. Um, but it needs to be a secondary focus. Okay. All right. Here's why. Here's why. Okay. Not only does it clog up your insulin receptor, but it makes the insulin in your blood start to build up because your body's like, okay, that one insulin that I sent to go into that receptor didn't make it. It's not working. Blood sugar's not dropping. So I need to send more insulin, more insulin. So your pancreas starts producing more and more insulin. So more and more insulin starts to build up in your blood. What else do you do? As a diabetic, you also inject artificial insulin into your system. All that insulin with just a few receptors that are working creates a backup in the system. Okay. So you've got all this insulin. That extra insulin sends a signal to your kidneys that it needs help from the kidneys. The kidneys are able to retain water. They're able to hold on to water in your blood system so that the sugar is diluted by water. Does that make sense? In order for it to do that, in order for it to hold on to water, it needs something as a magnet. And the magnet to pull the water into your blood is sodium. Sodium. So sodium is the magnet that pulls water into your blood system. All right. And so you've got all this extra sodium, you've got all this extra water, and you've got all this extra sugar in your blood. And what does that do to your blood pressure? Boom, through the roof. Okay. So, yes, doctors being like, hey, cut back on your sugar and your sodium. Those are great things, but they're not focusing on the cause. Okay. The cause, the reason why your blood pressure is high, why your blood sugar is high, is not sugar and it's not sodium. It's what's behind that. Why is the sugar and the sodium not going to the right places? It's because your insulin receptors are full of fat, animal fat. Again, why? If you're obese, if you have weight problems, especially abdominal weight, that is also a major cause for high blood sugar and high blood pressure. They go hand in hand because of this issue. And again, it's not all fats. Not all fats are bad, but animal fat specifically is what clogs up your insulin receptors in a negative way. Okay? So that's the why. That's the background of why high blood sugar affects your blood pressure. So, what do we do about that? There's a few things that we can do to lower our blood sugar, lower our insulin production in our bodies, and allow our kidneys to stop sending that signal to hold on to water. Instead, that water goes where it's supposed to go. You don't get the swelling in your ankles and feet. The water and the sodium level starts to balance out and things return to normal. There's a few things that we can do. Number one is we can cut back on our animal product consumption. Okay. I'm not here to promote a completely vegetarian or vegan diet to you, but what I am here to promote is an idea that if you want 50% less animal fat in your insulin receptors, cut back 50% on the animal products that you consume. Okay. Is that fair? Cause and effect. It's not something that you have to cold turkey and eliminate right away, but it is something that you just need to know, like, okay, if I really want to swing my body, swing my insulin sensitivity a different way, then I need to take some actions that are going to fix some of the causes, okay? And like I said, animal fat in your receptors is a major cause for this. Okay. So there is also certain kinds of animal products that are more fatty, more problematic than other types of animal products. One of those is concentrated animal products. So things like processed meats and processed dairy. Dairy products like cheese, for instance, is a concentrated animal product, and the fat is just super concentrated. All the negative things, the antibiotics, the hormones are super concentrated in cheese. Um, Ice creams, those also, it's a super concentrated mixture of cream and sugar and all of these things that can be more problematic than, say, a good cottage cheese or goat milk, or organic meat that comes from a farm, grown, grass fed. Those are better animal products than the processed like bologna slices that you get from Walmart, which is a highly processed, highly concentrated version. And processed meats, hot dogs, deli slices, like all those types of things have been put by sorry, World Health Organization into the 1A category of carcinogens. That means there is a direct link between processed meats and colon cancer specifically. Direct connection. And it's in the same category as things like alcohol, tobacco, vaping, those types of things that we're like, oh yeah, duh, they cause cancer. So does processed meats in that same way. So cut back, especially on those more concentrated versions of animal products. The second thing you can do is eat more fiber. So because meat products don't have any fiber in them, uh it's like putting uh concrete paste into a garden hose and then hoping that the water in the hose will keep it liquid enough by the time it comes out the other end. And it doesn't because there's no fiber in it. So all of that meat goes into your gut and starts to sit around and clog up the walls of your colon and create a traffic jam, just like that concrete in the garden hose. So what you need to do is create more fibrous environment in your gut. How do you do that? Well, raw foods is a great place to start. Raw fruits and raw vegetables. I steer clear of like powdered fibers, psyllium husks, and all these things on the shelf in the Walmart pharmacy aisle because your body can really become reliant on those, and then trying to make the switch to natural is difficult. So start with the raw foods. Start with raw vegetables, raw fruits, and start with things that you like. Like this isn't a promotion of eating a plate piled full of broccoli or something maybe that you don't like. I love broccoli, so that sounds delicious to me, but a lot of people don't like broccoli. So don't start there. Start with something that you actually enjoy. An apple, some pineapple, mango, avocado. Like there's a lot of raw fruits and vegetables that you can eat that you enjoy. So what that does is it really cuts down on the transit time between your mouth and your anus, getting all of that out of your system. Okay. So when you cut down the transit time, you cut down the opportunity for all that animal products to build up in your insulin receptors. Okay. So that's another one. The other thing that you can do is really to start drinking more water. Because if you're dehydrated, the first place dehydration affects is your skin and your gut. Okay. So your skin and your gut. If you have dry skin, if you have dry eyes, dry mouth, body odor, you have to use a lot of deodorant. You have to use a lot of lotions. You're constipated. You're not having at least 2 bowel movements a day. These are things that are an indication that you need more water in your system. Okay. You've got to have more water. And when you drink more water, your blood sugar will lower because you're adding water to the system, diluting all that sugar out, and your body's able to scrub out those receptors from the animal fats. Okay. Now, here's an advanced move. Here's something for those of you that are just like, I have got to get my blood sugar under control, like now. And I want to do it in a matter of a few days. I want to get all my insulin receptors scrubbed from animal products. I'm ready to go. Like this is the advanced version. Okay. And this is what I've seen firsthand. I worked at a lifestyle center where we had people come in on all kinds of insulins and metformins and blood pressure medications and overweight, could barely walk, wheelchair bound, like all these things. And what we did with all of them was the first 3 days that they came to our center, we gave them juice. We gave them juice, green juice, vegetable juice, with a green apple in it, not a lot of sugar, fruit juice, just mostly vegetable juices. And if you're interested in my juicing program, get my cookbook. I think it's in my school community for this coaching group, but if it's not, I'll make sure it's in there tonight. But my cookbook has the exact juicing recipes that we used for those 3 days. And it was every 2 hours, you would drink 8 ounces of these vegetable juices. And that's all you would take for 3 days. 2 days if you really can't handle it, but 3 days is ideal. And what that does is it just like completely resets your insulin receptors because your body starts processing all the extra fat in those receptors as energy. So you get this high energy feeling, you're not hungry, things start to come out of you that need to come out of you, and your body is able to reset completely from this inundation of animal fats that you've had a lot of your life. And so after 3 days, you're going to notice that your need for artificial insulin is going to greatly decrease. Your blood pressure numbers are going to look so much better simply by doing this one advanced move of juicing for 3 days. Okay. And not only does it give you the fiber and just the gut rest and the cleansing detox effect, but it also has the chlorophyll in it. And chlorophyll is incredible because chlorophyll is this green pigment, makes everything green around us. The trees, the leaves, everything is green because of chlorophyll. And chlorophyll is very, very similar to the red blood cell. Like if you look at them under a microscope, the red blood cell and chlorophyll look very, very identical. There's only one difference. Over here in your blood cell is an iron that attaches to one end. Over here in the chlorophyll, it's a magnesium. It's not an iron. Okay. So that's the only difference. So basically, when your body gets chlorophyll through juice, or some people even take chlorophyll IV, it's because it's so identical in nature that your body's able to basically take that as a blood transfusion. So it's like you're drinking a blood transfusion. A lot of detoxing going on. So anyway, all that to say, that's the advanced move to lower your blood sugar and your blood pressure naturally. And there's so much we could talk about. I don't want to go in too much detail this week on this topic, but again, we're talking about the blood pressure triangle. We're talking about the top 3 causes of high blood pressure. Tonight's topic has been blood sugar, how to understand what's causing your high blood pressure, blood sugar, how it affects your blood pressure specifically, and then some things that we can do to lower that blood sugar number by limiting our animal products, by increasing our raw food intake, increasing our water intake, and then the advanced move, for those of you that are super gung-ho, is the juicing. And again, I'll put the juicing recipe in my school community so you can start that if you are one of my advanced students. I really want to encourage you to always be looking for the cause, though. Always be looking for the cause. And it's not what the healthcare system has told you. It's not sugar. It's not sodium. Those are not causes. Those are things that create symptoms that then are treated by pills and injections. Instead, look for the cause, okay? And in the school community, if you go to the classroom, I've begun loading up all of the 3 points of the blood pressure triangle courses so that you can start after you've taken the quiz, or if you know which part of the blood pressure triangle you need to focus on, start that course. Day 1 is all loaded into all 3. And in the blood sugar one, day 1 has causes and a list of them in a PDF that you can actually look at and start to see and understand more about causation and how to find the cause for you. Now, as you begin to learn more about the blood pressure triangle, you're going to notice that there's a lot of these sides of the triangle that are connected. Okay, so cortisol is like straight sugar for the blood, and it affects your blood sugar. Blood sugar is a hormone. It's a hormone triggering event, high blood sugar, because it requires insulin. Insulin's a hormone. So this hormone does a full message send to your kidneys, which are then triggered to retain sodium, hold on to water, and your kidneys are also triggered by stress because they have these adrenal glands on top of them that are directly connected to your norepinephrine, your fight or flight system. So the more you hear what I talk about with this blood pressure triangle, the more you're going to see how all 3 sides are connected, but how you definitely want to focus on the main one for you specifically. But it's going to branch out into the other 2 corners, I promise you. High blood sugar is also related to your lifestyle habits, which is the third corner of the blood pressure triangle. Your lifestyle habits can include eating a third meal during the day. That is a huge trigger for your high blood sugar. Um, Eating animal products, a habit that Americans, especially, we love our meat, we love our fried chicken, we love our dairy products, we love all these things, but they are incredibly damaging to our blood sugar. Okay, so between our stressful lifestyle, our lifestyle habits, all point to our blood sugar being high as well. So, all that to say, it doesn't matter really where you start on the blood pressure triangle. However, it is better if you find the one that is most of your problem, because all of them are connected. But if you start at blood sugar, there's going to be a very focused attempt to help you lower your blood sugar, get your insulin receptors more sensitive, and allow your blood pressure to follow downtrending. Okay. Hope that made sense. And I hope it wasn't too complicated for you. I really want to make this simple. My job is not to overcomplicate health. I want you to understand that health is available to anyone, no matter what their economic status, no matter what their education levels are. God has created our bodies to heal themselves, and He's promised us that there is no curse, no disease, no illness, no nothing wrong with us that does not have a cause. Proverbs 26:2. Curse causeless will not come. He says, just like you see a bird flying through the sky and you're like, oh, why is that bird flying? How in the world is that bird's flying? Because it's flying. Like, that's the cause. The bird chose to fly, so it's flying. That's why it's up in the air. And he says, as obvious as that is, just so obvious is the fact that if you have diabetes, if you have high blood sugar, if you have high blood pressure, there is a cause, and that cause is reversible. Reverse the cause, you reverse the illness. So I hope this is good news to you. It's not something that you have to live with the rest of your life. It's not genetic. It's not a life sentence. It is something that we can work together on. So stay tuned. Go to the classroom in the school situation, school classroom, and find the course that is appropriate for you. Get started. Day one is all loaded. Day two and onward will continue to be loaded throughout the next week. And let's get into these things in a very specific way to your health. Remember, genetics writes the recipe, but lifestyle bakes the cake. My name's Joel. Be your own doctor.